Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are continuing to read from Sri Isopanishad. Sri Isopanishad, we are on mantra 12. We had already begun reading the mantra. We were reading the purport by Srila Prabhupada, and we are going to continue reading the purport. I'll just quickly read the translation of the verse. Well, I didn't say this, please. Anyway, those who are engaged in the worship of demigods enter into the darkest region of ignorance, and still more, so do the worshippers of the impersonal absolute. So this is mantra 12 of Sri Isopanishad, and we had been hearing Srila Prabhupada is saying that Sri Isopanishad is saying that those who worship the demigods, they go to the material planets. Same, Sri Krishna also says the same thing, that, and the material, they go to the planets of the demigods, and those planets are still within the material world. They're not in the spiritual world. So even as we say Swargalok, that is still in the material world. So Isopanishad is pointing us out that worship the Supreme Lord to get out of this material world of birth and death. Okay. So would somebody like to read? No, if no, then I will read. All right. Let me just send a message to Sonia. She said she'll join him. I'm just going to check if she's okay. Sorry, thank you. So the ignorant pseudo-religionists and the manufacturers of so-called incarnations who directly violate the Vedic injunctions are liable to enter into the darkest region of the universe because they mislead those who follow them. So we can see what Sri Isopanishad is saying, people who mislead others about spiritual life. The destination is going down to the darkest region of the universe. Why? Because this human life is so valuable and it's so rare. We were reading that there's 8,400,000 species of life, out of which only 400,000 are human beings. Out of these 400,000, majority are uncivilized. Very few are civilized. Out of the few civilized, majority are engaged in sense gratification. Barely few want to search out the truth. Out of those who are searching out the truth, barely one actually makes it and actually can understand the truth. So if we mislead others in spirituality, the destination is very bad. One goes to the darkest regions of hell. And so it's a great responsibility. These impersonalists generally pose themselves as incarnations of God to foolish persons who have no knowledge of Vedic wisdom. If such foolish men have any knowledge at all, it is more dangerous in their hands than ignorance itself. So people try to misuse the faith of the innocent as to the identity of God, saying that, anyone is an incarnation of God, or any particular human being is an incarnation of God, or that anyone can become God. And all this is misleading, misguiding the innocent people. And it should not be done. This is what Sri Isopanishad is telling us. So Sri Isopanishad is telling us, don't do that. If you're doing it, stop doing it, because then the result is very bad, very dangerous. Such impersonalists do not even worship the demigods according to the scriptural recommendations. In the scriptures, there are recommendations for worshipping demigods under certain circumstances. But at the same time, these scriptures state that there is normally no need for this. So in the Vedas, there is one section called the Upasana Kand, which deals with the worship of demigods. But the perfection of the Upasana Kand is to worship the Supreme Lord, to worship Krishna. Demigod worship is allowed only under certain circumstances. In Bhagavad Gita 7.23, it is clearly stated that the results derived from worshipping the demigods are not permanent. Since the entire material universe is impermanent, whatever is achieved within the darkness of material existence is also impermanent. So why one is recommended not to worship the demigods? The demigods are great personalities. They are very qualified persons. They are surely much more qualified than us. They are devotees of God. They are very powerful in such powerful positions, controlling the sun, the moon. Lord Indra is controlling the heavens. Lord Brahma, he's the secondary creator of this universe. Lord Shiva, he is in charge of the mode of ignorance. So such great personalities. But because what happens is by worshipping the demigods, the result we get is temporary. By worshipping the demigods, we still remain in the material world. Sure, we can go up to the planet of the demigods, but those planets are also in the material world. And then after the pious karma is finished, to stay in that planet, one again has to come back to the earth planet, again create new karma. So it is like a Ferris wheel going up and down, up and down. You know, one may do some worship, go to the heavenly planet. After that karma is finished, again one has to come down to earth, again create new karma. So how can actually one get out of this cycle of birth and death? Only by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then one may say, but my material desires are being fulfilled by the demigods. But Bhagavatam says one may have a lot of material desires, or one may have no material desire, or one may desire liberation. Whatever is one's situation, worship Krishna. Worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Worship God. And in this way, not only will our desires be fulfilled, but we can get out of this material world of birth and death. This world, material world, is a temporary manifestation. It's not our permanent situation. Whatever results we are getting here is temporary. It's for some time. So here Prabhupada is putting the question is how to obtain real and permanent life. You know, we are thinking we are the bodies, but we are in this body also for a very short time. It's temporary. So how to get permanent life? The Lord states that as soon as one reaches Him by devotional service, which is the one and only way to approach the personality of Godhead, one attains complete freedom from the bondage of birth and death. So how can one attain permanent life? By worshipping Lord, worshipping God, by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by engaging in devotional service. Devotional service, bhakti. Bhakti begins by hearing about the Lord from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and chanting His holy names, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And in this way, one can gradually come out of this material world and go back home, back to Godhead, to the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, there is no birth, there is no death. It's eternal. The soul is eternal. The spiritual world is eternal. God is eternal. Our relationship with God is eternal. Devotional service is eternal. Because one may think, okay, well, I'm going to do devotional service now till the time I'm here in the material world. And after I get liberated, I can just sit back, relax, and enjoy, and I'm going to be God myself. No, we do relax, we do enjoy, but we don't become God. We enjoy with God. That's the difference. There is a lot of enjoyment in the spiritual world, but it's with God, not becoming God. Now, that is real liberation. So, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati, only by devotional service can we understand God. Only by devotional service can we go back to the spiritual world. Freedom from bondage of birth and death. We may say, well, what's the harm? We are being born, we are dying. After death, we'll get another body. What's the harm? One may say that. Well, but we are not sure what kind of body we will get in the next life. It could be the body of an animal or a tree or an aquatic, a reptile. We don't know based on our karma, what we have done, what is the next body. And surely there is a lot of suffering. So then reading on, in other words, the path of salvation from the material clutches fully depends on the principles of knowledge and detachment gained from serving the Lord. So we have heard terms like, I want knowledge, I want gyan, and we have heard terms that I want to be detached from the material world. So how do we do that? We get it by engaging in devotional service. Bhagavatam says that when one engages in devotional service, one gets causeless knowledge. The knowledge is revealed in our heart. Devotional service begins by hearing and chanting. Hearing from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, chanting the holy name. And of course, we go on to worship the deity, remembering the Lord, offering prayers. So, and then what's the result? One gets causeless knowledge. The knowledge is revealed and automatically one gets detached from the material world. So there is no need for any artificial attempt. It becomes automatic, natural. Natural way to get attached to the Lord, get attached to Krishna, automatically get detached from the world. The pseudo-religionists have neither knowledge nor detachment from material affairs, for most of them want to live in the golden shackles of material bondage, under the shadow of philanthropic activities disguised as religious principles. Religion means to love God. There are different religions of the world, and all of them teach how to love God. That is the aim. That is the goal. Now, we can see, as days are going by, there are so many more and more people talking about religion, religious principles. But is that truly religion? Are they speaking about God and love of God? Are they speaking in the disciplic succession? Or is it some kind of mental concoction? By a false display of religious sentiments, they present a show of devotional service while indulging in all sorts of immoral activities. In this way, they pass as spiritual masters and devotees of God. Such violators of religious principles have no respect for the authoritative acharyas, the holy teachers, in the strict disciplic succession. We were reading yesterday from Srimad Bhagavatam that the speaker has to come in the disciplic succession because he can give us the pure knowledge, unadulterated, which is not being misrepresented. They ignore the Vedic injunction, Acharya Pasna. One must worship the Acharya. And Krishna's statement in the Bhagavad Gita 4.2, Evam Parampara Praptam. The supreme science of God is received through the disciplic succession. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that this science of devotional service, it's a science. Knowledge of God is a science of God, science of Krishna consciousness, it's called. Why? Gyan, that's knowledge, Vigyan, to apply that knowledge. We have to practically apply that knowledge. So it's science of God. How we can be sitting, how can we see God face to face? How can we love God? So we have to apply the knowledge, and this knowledge should be received in disciplic succession, should be heard in the disciplic succession. Instead, to mislead the people in general, they themselves become so-called acharyas, but they do not even follow the principles of the acharyas. So, if we want to buy something material, could be anything. It could be, or we want to send our children to a university. We do so much research work, which is the best university, which is, going to be good for my child. There's so much research being done. And then we send our child there. Or we want to buy maybe some diamond. We do so much research. Are we sure we are getting a good diamond? But for spiritual knowledge, we somehow become slack and we are willing to hear from anyone or everyone. And if for spiritual knowledge also, we need to do research. Who am I hearing from? What are they speaking? Who is their spiritual master, their spiritual master, their spiritual master? Are they coming in the line of disciplic succession? Are they coming in a parampara? Are they following the principles themselves? So then that becomes our responsibility too. So then, and Isopanishad is saying that the destiny of the people who are misleading others in their spiritual life is that they will be pushed to the darkest regions. So going on to read, these rogues are the most dangerous elements in society because there is no religious government. They escape punishment by the law of the state. They cannot, however, escape the law of the Supreme, who has clearly declared in the Bhagavad Gita that envious demons in the garb of religious propagandists shall be thrown into the darkest regions of hell. So Prabhupada, this is Bhagavad Gita 16, chapter 16, text 19 to 20. So Prabhupada is quoting, he's saying that there is no religious government. There are no religious laws, so anybody says whatever they want to say. But God's laws are there. The laws of God are there. Sri Isopanishad confirms that these pseudo-religionists are heading toward the most obnoxious place in the universe after the completion of their spiritual master business, which they conduct simply for sense gratification. So, because it is playing with the faith of the people, this human form of life is gotten with so much difficulty, and to misguide the people in their journey, because then after giving up this body, they are going to follow their spiritual masters. So where are they going then? It's a great responsibility. And that's the reason Sri Isopanishad is saying that. Are there any questions or comments?
All good.
Just like if suppose somebody says that somebody opens a shop and is selling diamonds and they say this is real diamond, but actually they are fake. So there are there could be, we could put charges against them and then there could be a court trial and all that because they're cheating, right? They said they're going to give something, but they're giving something else. So because of the cheating. So this is what Sri Isopanishad is saying, that there's laws of God also if people are cheating on about spiritual matters. So if there are no questions or comments, then we'll go on to mantra 13. Anyad eva hu sambhavad.
Anyad eva hu sambhavad.
Anyad ahur asambhavad.
Anyad ahur sambhavad.
Iti shushruma dhiranam.
Iti shushramadhiranam.
Yenastat vichachakshire.
Yenastad vichaksharam. Should I
Somebody
read?
like, yes, please.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well. Translation. It is said that one result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and that another result is obtained by worshipping what is not supreme. All this is heard from the undisturbed authorities who clearly explain it. Purport. The system of hearing from undisturbed authorities is approved in this mantra. Unless one hears from a bona fide acharya who is never disturbed by the changes of the material world, one cannot have the real key to transcendental knowledge. The bona fide spiritual master who has also heard the Shruti mantras or Vedic knowledge from his undisturbed acharya never presents anything that is not mentioned in the Vedic literature. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.25, it is clearly said that those who worship the Pitras or forefathers attain the planets of the forefathers, that the gross materialists who make plans to remain here stay in this world, and the devotees of the Lord who worship none but Lord Krishna, the supreme cause of all causes, reach him in his spiritual sky. Here also in Shri Isopanishad, it is verified that one achieves different results by different modes of worship. If we worship the Supreme Lord, we will certainly reach him in his eternal abode. Or if we worship demigods like the sun god or moon god, we can reach their respective planets without a doubt. And if we wish to remain on this rest planet with our planning commissions and our stopgap political adjustments, we can certainly do that also.
So we can see the scriptures, the revealed scriptures, there's no contradiction. Sri Isopanishad is I'm sorry, saying the same thing what Bhagavad Gita is saying. The scriptures are all pointing out to worship of the Supreme Lord. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, here Sri Isopanishad, this mantra is saying, here, who are we hearing from? You know, in Bhagavatam, we were speaking that the qualification of the speaker, that we should hear the spiritual knowledge from the authorized representative of God, from a bona fide representative of God. You know, one who has gotten this authority to spread this knowledge, one who's coming in the disciplic succession. Just like, you know, the embassy of India here in Panama, they have the authority to issue passport on behalf of the Indian government. You know, anybody can open a shop and paint and write India Embassy and start issuing a passport, but one cannot travel with that passport. It's a fake, although it may look the same. But the real one, because it's issued by the embassy, it has that power that we can travel with it. So the transcendental knowledge, we need to hear from the bona fide representative, a bona fide acharya who's coming in the disciplic succession. Then we will be able to get the real transcendental knowledge. So Krishna is also saying, Tat Vidi Pranipatena, hear from the one who has seen the truth. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita says the same thing. And then what's the destination of different types of worship? You know, it's not that you worship anyone and the destination is the same. To give the example, Prabhupada would say, if you buy a ticket, say going from Panama to India, you're going to reach India. If you buy a ticket from Panama to America, you're going to reach America. It's not that you buy a ticket and somebody's buying ticket to India, somebody to America, somebody's buying ticket to Taiwan, and they're all going to reach the same destination. No, the destinations are different. Depend what ticket you bought. So Krishna is saying the same thing in Bhagavad Gita. Who you worship, that's where you're going to go. You worship the Pitra, forefathers, you'll go to the planet of the Pitra Lok. You worship the demigods, you'll go live in the planet of the demigods. But we have to understand the planet of the demigods, the planet of the Pitra, they are also in the material world. There are different planets in the material world. And Krishna says those who worship him, they reach his abode, which is eternal, which is in the spiritual world. in the spiritual sky. Just as in the material sky, there are so many planets. In the spiritual sky, there are many planets. And the spiritual planets are permanent. They always exist. So it depends on our desire. Krishna never forces anyone to that you should desire in this way. No, based on our desire. But we are just getting the information. Who we worship, that's where we are going. It's not that everything is one, whatever you do is one. No, it's different. Just as we said, which ticket you buy, that's where you're going to go. Any questions, comments? No? Then we'll continue reading.
Nowhere in authentic scriptures is it said that that one will ultimately reach the same goal by doing anything or worshipping anyone. Such foolish theories are offered by self-made spiritual masters who have no connection with the parampara, the bona fide system of disciplic succession. The bona fide spiritual master cannot say that all paths lead to the same goal and that anyone can attain this goal by his own mode of worship of the demigods or of the supreme or whatever. Any common man can very easily understand that a person can reach his destination only when he has purchased a ticket for the destination. A person who has purchased a ticket for Calcutta can reach Calcutta, but not Bombay. But the so-called spiritual masters say that any and all paths will take one to the supreme goal. Such mundane and compromising offers attract many foolish creatures who became puffed up with their manufactured method of spiritual realization. The Vedic instructions, however, do not uphold them. Unless one has received knowledge from the bona fide spiritual master who is in the recognized line of disciplic succession, one cannot have the real thing as it is. Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita 4.2,
Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshyo vidu satale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa.
This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appeared to be lost. When Lord Krishna was present on this earth, the Bhakti Yoga principles defined in the Bhagavad Gita had become distorted. Therefore, the Lord had to re-establish the disciplic system, beginning with Arjuna, who was the most confidential friend and devotee of the Lord. The Lord clearly told Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita 4.3, that it was because Arjuna was his devotee and friend that he could understand the principles of Bhagavad Gita. In other words, only the Lord's devotee and friend can understand the Gita. This also means that only one who follows the path of Arjuna can understand the Bhagavad Gita.
So
At the present moment,
I'm sorry. I'll just
okay.
I'll just
sure.
speak a bit. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we heard that what type of worship we do, that's where we are going to go. Not that everything is one. And so, this example that we give, for example, if one wants to be a doctor, so it's not that one just can buy the textbooks and say, I'm going to hear from the internet, or, my some relative, he seems to be having some kind of a knowledge. I can take something from there, and my neighbor, they have some knowledge, I'm going to take from there. And, like this, I'm going to become a doctor. No, one has to go to a medical school, which is recognized by the board, study there under the teacher, practice under a proper doctor, and then one becomes a certified doctor. Same for spiritual life. This is why the importance of hearing in disciplic succession. And if somebody's just become a doctor just by himself, he says, I never went to any school, I just became a doctor by studying our textbooks, would we actually go to him to cure our disease? Say we have a deadly disease, a life-threatening disease, would we actually go to that doctor? Or would we go to someone we know, he's recognized, he has a certificate, he's cured many patients. We're going to go there, isn't it? So for our physical disease, we are so careful. Same, we should be also careful for our spiritual disease. And that's the reason we should hear from in the disciplic succession. So we get the real knowledge. So Krishna is saying the same thing, that this science is received through the chain of disciplic succession, through the parampara. And this line was coming in the saintly kings, but somehow with time, this disciplic succession got lost, the science was broken, and that's why it became necessary for Krishna to again speak the principles of Bhagavad Gita. And so Krishna again starts a new disciplic succession with Arjuna. So because the science was lost, the disciplic succession got broken, Krishna is again beginning a new disciplic succession with Arjuna. And Krishna is telling Arjuna that you will be able to understand this message. Why? Because you are my devotee and my good friend. Arjuna is not envious of Krishna. When we get envious of God, then we are not able to hear what God is saying. So Arjuna submissively heard this message of Bhagavad Gita. So if we at all want to understand Bhagavad Gita, we need to be like Arjuna, submissively hear the message of Bhagavad Gita in the disciplic succession.
At the present moment, there are many interpreters and translators of this sublime dialogue who care nothing for Lord Krishna or Arjuna. Such interpreters explain the verses of Bhagavad Gita in their own way and postulate all sorts of rubbish in the name of the Gita. Such interpreters believe neither in Shri Krishna nor in his eternal abode. How then can they explain the Bhagavad Gita? Krishna clearly says,
there are so many Bhagavad Gita in the market, and they don't even speak anything about Krishna. I personally have read some. They don't say anything about Krishna, whereas Bhagavad Gita is song of God, and they don't speak anything about God. Prabhupada would say they've just borrowed the name, the title, and they're writing their own song in it. So people just want to borrow the title because it's famous, no? Bhagavad Gita is famous throughout the universe. So there are many interpreters who are falsely misguiding the people. And reading that kind of Bhagavad Gita is not going to give us any real benefit, any spiritual knowledge, because they themselves don't understand it. So it's misrepresented. And many will say Krishna means this and Pandavas means this. No, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every page of Bhagavad Gita says that. We don't need to put any meaning to anything. We simply receive the knowledge as it is.
Krishna clearly says that only those who have lost their sense worship the demigods for paltry rewards. Bhagavad Gita 7.20 to 23. Ultimately, he advises that one give up all other ways and modes of worship and fully surrender unto him alone. Bhagavad Gita 18.66. Only those who are cleansed of all sinful reactions can have such unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord. Others will continue hovering on the material platform with their paltry ways of worship, and thus will be misled from the real path under the false impression that all paths lead to the same goal.
So if we at all want to have the correct knowledge, we need to hear Bhagavad Gita as it is in the parampara system. Krishna is saying that that we go to the demigods because we have material desires. But he says that abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. And I shall take care of all your sinful reactions. Do not fear. This is Krishna's, he says this at the end of Bhagavad Gita, 1866. He's saying, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. Krishna is demanding each of us to surrender unto him. Surrender begins when we start chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
In this mantra of Shri Isopanishad, the word Sambhavat, by worship of the Supreme Cause, is very significant. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and everything that exists has emanated from him. In the Bhagavad Gita 10.8, the Lord says,
Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita.
I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly knows this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts.
So, have we thought, we looking at the creation the whole day, have you ever wondered who is the creator? Who is that person who has created this? For everything we know there is some manufacturer, some creator there. For our watch, or who's the factory, who's the maker, for our laptop, mobile, everything has a creator, no? So what about this creation of the material world? Have we wondered who is the creator? So all the Vedas, all the scriptures, and Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita that he is the creator. Everything is coming from him. The material world is coming from him, and also the spiritual world is coming from him. And he's saying one who can understand this is wise, and then the person engages in devotional service, worships him. So Krishna, God is the creator. It's not that the creation just happened, that there was a big bang and the creation happened, or there is some energy. But whose energy is it? Who does the energy belong to? That is God, belongs to God. God is the creator. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Here is correct description of the Supreme Lord given by the Lord himself. The words Sarvasya Prabhava indicate that Krishna is the creator of everyone, including Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And because these three principal deities of the material world are created by the Lord is the creator of all that exists in the material and spiritual world. In the Atharva Veda, Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.24, it is similarly said, he who existed before the creation of Brahma and who enlightened Brahma with Vedic knowledge is Lord Shri Krishna. Similarly, the Narayana Upanishad 1 states, then the Supreme Person Narayana desired to create all living beings. Thus from Narayana, Brahma was born. Narayana created all the Prajapatis. Narayana created Indra. Narayana created the 8 Vasus. Narayana created the 11 Rudras. Narayana created the 12 Adityas. Since Narayana is a plenary manifestation of Lord Krishna, Narayana and Krishna are one and the same. The Narayana Upanishad 4 also states, Devki's son Krishna is the Supreme Lord. The identity of Narayan with the Supreme Cause has also been accepted and confirmed by Shri Pada Shankaracharya, even though Shankara does not belong to the Vaishnava or personalist cult. The Atharva Veda Maha Upanishad 1 also states, only Narayana existed in the beginning, when neither Brahma nor Shiva, nor fire, nor water, nor stars, nor sun, nor moon existed. The Lord does not remain alone, but create as he desires. Krishna himself states in the Moksha Dharma, I created the Prajapatis and the Rudras. They do not have complete knowledge of me because they are covered by my illusionary energy. It is also stated in the Varaha Purana, Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and from him the four-headed Brahma was manifested, as well as Rudra, who later become omniscient.
So here Prabhupada is giving us so much evidence from the Vedic scriptures, from the different Puranas, from the Upanishads, informing us that who is the creator. And Lord Sri Krishna, he is the creator. He existed before the creation. All the great authorities say that. Even Shankaracharya says that Narayan existed before the creation. Although Shankaracharya is not coming in the Vaishnava line, even he says that, and all the Vedas are saying that. So Krishna, he existed before the creation. He is the creator. He created, from him come Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. So Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Here we read some evidences from Atharva Veda, the Gopaltapani Upanishad, Narayana Upanishad, a couple of references from the Narayana Upanishad, and the Atharva Veda Maha Upanishad, the Varaha Purana. So these are some of the evidences that that Srila Prabhupada is putting here for our reference, that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and that he is the creator. He's even the creator of Brahma, of Lord Shiva, and even of Lord Vishnu. So we'll stop here for today and we'll continue. Actually, let's just finish this one if it's okay, because it goes on with the same.
Okay. Thus, all Vedic literature confirms that Narayana or Krishna is the cause of all causes. In the Brahma Samhita 5.1, also it is said that the Supreme Lord is Shri Krishna, Govinda, the delighter of every living being, and the primeval cause of all causes. The really learned persons know this from evidence given by the great sages and the Vedas, and thus they decide to worship Lord Krishna as all in all. Such persons are called Buddha or really learned because they worship only Krishna.
So here Srila Prabhupada is also quoting Brahma Samhita. Brahma Samhita, it's a beautiful song sung by Lord Brahma. After Lord Brahma got the Vedic knowledge from Krishna, he sings these beautiful prayers, Brahma Samhita, in which he says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That Lord Krishna is the primeval God. He is the cause of all causes. His form is transcendental, Satchit Ananda, cause of all causes. Everything exists because of Krishna. So there's a lot of evidence, and Prabhupada is pointing, and all the scriptures say that those who are intelligent, then they worship Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because so much evidence is there in the Vedic scriptures. The Sadhu, Guru, and Shastra, they all must say the same thing. Sadhu, Guru, Shastra should all say the same thing, and they all proclaim that Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we'll stop here for today. I'm not sure if there was any comment or any question. Okay, thank
So
you.
good.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks
Thank
to you,
you.
Shilpaji. Thank you.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta.